so hard for me to be loud on television. And I've worked on it so much.
I've been trying to drop my voice to seem even more adult and confident. Does this sound more authoritative? Do I feel like I have gravitas, years of experience in journalism?
Welcome to Highly Quarantined. I'm Dan LeBatard. That is Pablo Torre, always trying to prove to everybody that he's more than you think he is. Don't underestimate him. Let's get started.
Is that the thing?
Should everyone be cool with the NBA's plan to finish their season in a bubble?
Okay, so here's where we are, because I do remember laughing baseball right off the screen here when they suggested a bubble a couple of weeks ago, and it seemed greedy and it seemed like much, the idea that you'd have to quarantine Mike Trout for 2 weeks on premises. But now when you hear some of these details being reported about Vegas and Disney World specifically, first of all, we should be embarrassed as a network. We got beat on that story by other people who were speculating Disney before we were speculating Disney, but that made so much sense to me because you have the hotels, you have all of the infrastructure already in place, you have the ability to control your environment in the world that appears to be the greatest controlled environment in the history of controlled environments. So it all did start to make sense to me as an extreme measure if you must push this out to the edges and do the stuff that's dangerous and reckless to get your billions back.
But what should be so frustrating to everybody who's in favor of this plan, despite its possible recklessness, is that in the race to all play SimCity around this bubble, let's figure out who the hotel workers are, how many times are rooms cleaned, can family members come? All of it bypasses what should be the main takeaway from every one of these plans, and I've read all of them. The main problem with all of these plans is that you need testing. In 9,000 point font, that should always be the word at the beginning of these stories, because the NBA is saying in this story, we need about 15,000 tests total from start to finish, and we can actually get them, the NBA can. They say they can get them. The problem is that they won't do that until tests become broadly available to actual normal people. It's really telling, Dan, today, the Capitol Hill physician said that he can't get rapid testing for the 100 senators that are due back on Monday. And so if that is the context we're working in, how can any of these plans proceed without tests?
Well, first I'd like to say we already have an NBA bubble. It's called Twitter, #ThisLeague.
Wow.
Pablo is completely right? Whenever we talk about these plans, we are focused on the stakeholders who are most obvious to us, the players. Do they want to risk their health, the health of others around them, their personal comfort? They're obviously weighing that against the financial incentives, or in the case of a LeBron James, the immediate basketball incentives. He very much wants this season to happen. We talk about the fans and the owners and the teams, when really what matters most is the infrastructure. We as a country are looking to places like Korea or Germany and saying, hey, they're bringing soccer and baseball back. It's not because the leagues are better or because the players are willing to take risks. It's because the governments have it figured out there and they have the tests in place.
I have read all of these articles, and we can get to who wants to play, and yes, LeBron does, and maybe the Warriors don't, and that's funny to me, I get it. But you read enough of these things and you just become deadened to this notion that this is actually in anyone in sports' control.
Mina, he said he's read all the articles. He said he read all the plans. He is really name dropping all of the reading that he's doing. But here, read something else. Let's put up, hold on, before we get to that, just put on the screen LeBron James's tweet, because I want to get to this in a second. I want to see if we can do this graphically and just make this as television. Just put the tweet up there, and then if you can accompany it with just the sound, again and again, of an actual window closing. Hear a window closing while LeBron James is actually pleading and screaming, do not cancel my season, play it in a bubble.
So it's not #ThisLeague, it's This League.
It is. She's right. And by the way, Pablo, you immediately after our conversation about not distorting her sound, one syllable in, you wowed and knocked her off kilter. Literally
I marvel at myself sometimes. I had a whole thing clarifying, and then immediately it was time to build some authentic chemistry. Wow.
Also, he was bragging about reading all the articles and then lifted a printout. That was like one short article, and I'm pretty sure it was an explainer.
Yes.
It's actually my rental agreement.
It's so awful that you said I've read all the articles and all the plans.